In September 2023, engineers walked into the Olympic Stadium of Athens and shut it down. Rust had eaten into the great steel arches above the stands. A government study found the roof no longer met minimum safety standards, and officials talked openly about whether it might collapse. This wasn't some forgotten arena in a shrinking town. This was the centerpiece of the 2004 Olympic Games, in the country that invented the Olympics. 19 years after the world watched the flame come home, the home itself was condemned. You've probably seen the pictures from next door too, the empty pools, the cracked tracks, the venues swallowed by weeds. And you've probably heard the explanation that the Olympics bankrupted Greece, that the party of 2004 caused the collapse that followed. That version is everywhere. It's close. It's just not exactly what happened. This is the story of the Athens Olympics, the homecoming, the ruins, and the bill that everyone remembers wrong. To understand 2004, you have to start with a rejection. The modern Olympics were born in Athens in 1896 in a marble stadium paid for by a Greek merchant. So in 1990, when Athens bid for the 1996 Games, the 100th anniversary of that first Olympics, many Greeks considered it less a competition than a birthright. The IOC chose Atlanta. The loss stung for years. When Athens finally won the 2004 Games, in September 1997, it wasn't treated as a business venture. It was a homecoming, a national project wrapped in a century of pride. And the plans matched the emotion. A new airport, a new metro, new highways, and dozens of sporting venues, many of them built from nothing on the old airfield south of the city. Greece was one of the smallest countries ever to host a modern summer games. It was going to do it in style. Then Greece nearly missed its own party. Construction fell behind almost immediately, tangled in bureaucracy and archaeology. This is a city where digging a foundation can uncover a 2,000-year-old street. By 2000, the delays were so severe that the president of the IOC handed Athens what he famously called a yellow card, a public warning that the games could be taken away. What followed was a 4-year sprint. Crews poured concrete around the clock. The stadium's signature roof, 2 vast steel arches designed by Santiago Calatrava, was slid into position over the stands just weeks before the opening ceremony. And there was a new bill no host had ever faced at this scale. These were the first summer games after September 11th. Greece reportedly spent over $1 billion on security alone, with some 70,000 police and soldiers patrolling the city. And here's the part that often gets lost. It worked. For 17 days in August 2004, more than 200 delegations competed without a major incident. The president of the IOC closed the ceremony by calling them unforgettable dream games. Athens had pulled it off. The flame went out on August 29, 2004, and then nothing happened. Greece had built or renovated more than 30 venues for the Games. What it had not built was a plan for August 30th. South of the city at Hellinikon, the old international airport had been reborn as an Olympic complex, a baseball stadium, a softball field, arenas for basketball, fencing, and hockey, and a canoe and kayak course with man-made rapids. After the closing ceremony, the complex simply stopped. The rapids were drained. The baseball diamond cracked in the sun. Fences went up, and then the weeds came through the fences. Press reports at the time put the upkeep of the unused sites at as much as €100 million a year, money that bought no tenants, no events, no future. 10 years on, in 2014, news crews from around the world were all filming the same tour. The drained pools, the padlocked gates, the Olympic rings fading on concrete. The images became the world's shorthand for wasted money. And waiting behind the images was a bigger story. Because by then, Greece wasn't just a country with empty stadiums. It was a country in economic freefall. Here's the version everyone knows. Greece threw a party it couldn't afford, and a few years later the country went broke. Now look at the actual numbers. In 2013, Greece's own finance ministry put the state's total Olympic spending at €8.5 billion, And even that figure included things like hospitals and archaeological works. Outside estimates, counting everything, run as high as 13 billion. It was real money, and it was at least double what had originally been budgeted. But hold it against the other number. When the debt crisis broke in 2009, Greece owed roughly 300 billion euros. Its deficit that single year, once the real books came out, was over 15% of the entire economy. Even the most damning estimate of the Olympic bill amounts to a few cents on every euro of the debt Greece was carrying. The crisis came from somewhere much bigger. A decade of deficits across the whole state, official statistics that hid how deep the hole was, and a global financial crash that turned hidden weakness into open panic. The Olympics didn't bankrupt Greece. They were 17 days of a much longer habit. But when the collapse came, the empty stadiums made the perfect photograph of it, and the myth survives because the pictures are so good. So if the games didn't sink the country, why did the venues die? 3 reasons, and none of them is the opening ceremony. First, no tenants. Many venues were built for sports Greece barely plays. Baseball, softball, field hockey, there were no leagues waiting to move in, no fans to sell tickets to. A stadium without a tenant isn't an asset. It's a bill that arrives every year. Second, no owner with a reason to care. The sites passed into state holding companies, and for years, proposals, casinos, parks, marinas, malls were drafted, announced, and quietly shelved. Nobody's job depended on the venue's living. Third, maintenance was always the first thing cut. When engineers finally studied the stadium's failing roof in 2023, they concluded the problem wasn't the architect's design. It was that the recommended upkeep had been judged too expensive year after year, long before the crisis and all the way through it. Other host cities show the difference. Barcelona folded its venues back into the city it was already rebuilding. Los Angeles in 1984 barely built anything at all and turned a profit. Athens built monuments, and monuments don't pay rent. 2 decades on, the story has entered its strangest chapter. The ruins themselves are disappearing. At Hellenikon, the abandoned Olympic complex is being erased by one of the largest urban projects in Europe, an €8 billion plan to turn the dead airport and its dead venues into an entire new coastal district. Greece's first skyscraper is rising there now, a 200-meter tower standing roughly where Olympic crowds once watched baseball. The first sections of a vast seaside park are scheduled to open in 2026. The drained rapids, the cracked diamond, the rusting fences, most of it is already gone or going. The main stadium reopened in 2024, its roof stripped of thousands of panels, with repairs planned through 2026. And in 2028, the Games returned to Los Angeles, the city that famously made the Olympics pay, mostly by refusing to build. Athens is usually told as a warning about stadiums, but the stadiums were never really the problem. The real question was never whether a city can afford to host the Olympics. It's whether it can afford the day after. Some places vanish because everyone leaves. The Athens Olympics vanished in place, in full view of a whole city, because no one could ever agree on what the day after was for.